Peace to the gods, peace to the earths, and all of the righteous families of the planet. I bees the God, Daysun Supreme Solar Magnetic God Allah, aka Brother Fahim Khaliqua Hodge, back again with the family with a breakdown of our universal flag of the 5% nation. Um, First, we see on our flag, well, first of all, this flag was created and drawn up for us by Universal Sham God in the year 1967 AD, in New York, Brooklyn, New York, which Sham God was one of the Brooklyn gods, Medina gods, back then. I believe it was like 13 or 14 different firstborns, in Medina, who the father first civilized, when he his teachings made, way out in that area. Medina gods was like known as the warrior gods, you know what I'm saying? But Universal Sham God was a young teenage brother who, was an artist, and he, would draw up stuff and whatnot. And he presented the father with several different flags, but out of all of them, the father chose this particular flag, which we're going to build on today. Prior to Universal Sham God drawing this flag up for the father, the 5%ers was actually using the same flag that the Nation of Islam uses today, which in the Nation of Islam, it's referred to as the national. But the 5%ers was basically using that flag, to represent themselves. They had the flag of the 5% nation. I'm sorry, they had the flag of the Nation of Islam, and they had the names pretty much of the brothers in the Nation of Islam, Akbar and Bilal, and, they had those type of, names, Muslim God names, basically. I say Muslim God names because they were the 99, or they are the 99 attributes of Allah, most glorified and exalted. But brothers would, use them to represent themselves. But during the year 1967, just with a lot of backlash and stuff that was going on with, some of the youth in the streets of New York City, gang violence, gang activities, dudes getting, stabbed, dudes getting shot, dudes getting locked up, charged for drugs, selling heroin. Heroin was big on the streets at this time. Brothers was getting in trouble. So the father said, you know what? I believe it was Captain Joseph and Brother Clarence, Clarence 7X from Muhammad's Mosque or Muhammad's Temple, number 7 in New York City, eventually stepped to the father and was like, yo, brothers is, getting bagged up for stupid stuff and da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, and it's really shining a bad light on us. And the father knew that, first of all, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the father held the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in high regards as a holy messenger of Allah. The father never had no problem with the messenger. So just out of respect and admiration for Elijah, the father basically, one of the statements that was given to us by Universal Sham, that was related to us by Universal Sham God, the father, got brothers and sisters together one day, and he basically, in so many words, Universal Sham God says, the father said, brothers and sisters, this is one of the reasons we're going to take away the Muslim names so that the Muslims in the Nation of Islam don't have to take the weight for the unrighteous actions of our fruit. He said, he taught us that the Muslim is only one who submits to the will of Allah. So by nature, we are all Muslims. This is the father. He said, by nature, we are all Muslims. And that it is hard enough being a righteous Muslim in hell without a bunch of knuckleheads running around on the warpath causing confusion. So in the year 1967, a big change pretty much happened with the 5%, Nation of Islam. They got their names changed, and now they had their own flag to represent their nation. So as we look at the universal flag of the 5%ers, we first see that, we have 8 points, we notice, around the outer part of the flag. I'm going to just use this little thing I made. But these 8 points going around, basically, those 8 points basically represent our 8 lessons that the Father gave us, which is the supreme mathematics, the supreme alphabets, student enrollment, our English C1, English lesson C1, the Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, the Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, the actual facts, and the solar facts. Some gods have added or put, I've heard variations with the 8 lessons, because some gods, like the way I got it actually when I first got knowledge of self, my enlighteners gave me the 8 lessons were the supreme mathematics, the supreme alphabets, the 12 jewels of Islam, then the student enrollment, or the 1 to 10, the English lesson C1, the 1 to 36, the Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, the 1 to 14, the Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, the 1 to 40, and then actual facts and solar facts, both pretty much together, because they're short, short degrees, both of them. So within the 8 points, as we can see on our flag, there's shades. There's black and, there's 2 different shades in them. You got a black and then you got a gold shade. I know probably on mine it looks yellow, but it's supposed to actually be gold. Within the 8 points, there are 16 shades that represent the 16 shades of the original people of the planet Earth. Our people range from the darkest of the dark to the lightest of the light, damn near white. This is the different colors of original people on our planet. So now when we do the math, we see the 8 points, and then we see 16 different shades within the points. So 8 plus 16 gives us 24, doing the math. We have an elite group of men referred to by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the 24 scientists of universal history. In the Bible, they are called the 24 elders, and in the Holy Quran, they are known as the Exalted Assembly. There are 24 in all, but only 23 actually do the writing of world history every 25,000 years. The 24th sits over the 23 as a judge of what is the 24th sits over the 23 and judges what is written. We write our history or Quran to equal our home circumference of the planet Earth, which is 24,896 square miles, approximately 25,000 miles. So in the center now, let's get to this big guy right here. We see a 7. Now, the 7, if we notice, is big, it's black, and it's bold. And it sits at the direct center of everything. It represents the supreme being intelligence of the universal family, the Asiatic black man. As the physical earth has 7 continents and 7 areas of power, so does the supreme being black man have 7 major circuits in the human brain and 7 chakras, 7 chakras power points, which is controlled by his 7.5 ounce of original brain cell. The sun is not in the center of our solar system because it rotates around the supreme God force, which is the black seven. So that seven represents the Asiatic black man, the God. In the Nation of Islam flag, you don't really see the seven. There's no seven there. We just see a star and a crescent moon, which I would definitely encourage all 5%ers to get the Messenger's book, The Flag of Islam, because in there the Messenger pretty much breaks down, the star, the crescent. Basically, what this flag represents is just this flag is an add-on because it has more stuff to it. We see that the moon is at a half crescent. If we notice, see, she's a half crescent moon. And it's to the right. It's on the right side, meaning it's in the first quarter or cycle of a new era in development. The moon and the earth came from one source and represent the Asiatic black woman who hides and keeps her modesty behind the veil of the black God. Her 2 points represent her wisdom. Point right there, and then another point right there. It represents her wisdom. The star, now, this little guy over here, the star represents the Asiatic black child or black nation who is born into existence and completes the universal understanding or the universal family. The child doesn't stand over the seven. He must stand under in order to be nourished by the wisdom of the mother. This ultimately grows the child into a master, just like the seven. He is born with an innate ability to become the sole controller of the universal family. His destiny relies on the potential of the wisdom and the movements of her water. The 5 points of the star represents the God's characteristics, deep within its nature from birth. So we see arm, leg, arm, supreme intelligent head. The star has that. It has those 5 points, arm, leg, arm, and supreme intelligent head. We see the baby in making, the baby nation growing. The 5 points can also mean the 5 pillars of Islam, or justice according to the 12 jewels, or our 12 jewels of Islam. The 3 colors that we see, in our flag, we have black, and then we have gold, and then there's white. The black stands for the natural essence of the universe and its original people who are of the universe, who come from the universe, who were born out of the universe, better known as the original nation. The white stands for the powerful reflection of supreme light given off by the moon from the Son of Man. And the gold stands for the knowledge of one's self and the glow of supreme intelligence given off by one who has divine understanding and who has discipline. Gold is our halo of bright rays of divine truth, freedom, and happiness. So in this flag, as we see, the 3 colors, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and we see all of the other things in it. I know some gods, when I got knowledge of self, would get into little bickering contests, and, it would just be a lot of just foolishness. Like, I remember, how many points does the flag got all together? I remember getting into silly arguments. Dudes would be like, look, this is 1 point right here. That's 1, 2, that's another point 3, that's another point 4, that's another point 5, 6. And gods were just like, yo, there's like 27 points. There's 57 points. Or there's, just like, there's so many, frivolous debates and conversations. Some gods talk about the moon being over the 7 and Oh, the father didn't have it that way. Oh, well, on the school it is that way. And all, a lot of these bickering contests are really, irrelevant, basically, because it takes away from what the flag truly represents. The flag represents unity. And any God who studies these 120 lessons, basically anything that bears the sun, the moon, the stars is our flag. That's our universal flag. You know, it belongs to every God, every Muslim God, or every black Muslim, out there. Anyone professing knowledge of self, this flag is yours. So this was just a little short breakdown, family, just for the newborns, just to get an idea of what our universal flag is and what it represents. There's a lot more that I could have went into, and I'll probably do a more extensive bill later on, inshallah. But this is the universal flag of the 5% nation, or the 5% nation of Islam, or Allah's 5% nation of Islam. And it came into existence in the year 1967. So, with that being said, I hope the family got something out of this bill. And I want to say peace to the gods and peace to the earths. We are a nation of gods and earths, the 5% nation of Islam. With that being said, family, I'll leave you as I came in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods, peace to the earths.